So just a short time ago, we had the 14th vote to reopen the government, failing once again in the Senate. It's not funny, but it is getting ridiculous in some ways here. It is the longest government shutdown ever. A lot of places suffering. You just saw Sean Duffy's take on what's going on at the airports. And once again, lawmakers reached across the aisle. The independents, Angus King, Democrat Catherine Cortez Masto, Democrat Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman. He says that the shutdown is, quote, wrong, and that he believes his party just needs to own it. I spoke with him just moments ago. Watch. What do you see in terms of the future of this shutdown? Do you think that we're getting close? Do you think it's going to happen after the election? There'll be a resolution?
Well, what I'm saying is that it's not so much as of a blame. I think it's more about what's driving it and who's driving it and who is withholding their votes and are about opening or keeping our government closed. I've been a part of one of three, as you pointed out, and that means we need 5 more. So for me, that's where we are. And I agree that it's a bad idea to shut our government down. It was wrong if the Republicans would do this as they've done, and it's wrong now as we are doing it this right now. So for me, that is a country over party situation. And now 42 million Americans now are in food insecurity, and all of the unions that are being directly hit by this, and they all have been calling this needs to end. And that's where I'm at. And America's fly system, that's now been impacted. I fly every week, and I can see more and more delays and cancelings right there on the boards. So why would we want to mess with this now? We're just a couple weeks away from Thanksgiving. I think we've reached the point now. This really has to end. And it's not about the blame or who's going to blink. Right now, I think this thing, it's entirely appropriate, has to end.
Do you sense that there's any momentum among your Democrat colleagues to finish this, or are they waiting till after the election tonight?
I wouldn't describe it as momentum, but I would describe it of they realizing it's getting harder and harder to rationalize keeping our entire government down. And it doesn't mean there's 47 of us and we need 5 more. So this doesn't need a wave. It just needs 5 more colleagues to say, look, we can all 47 of us agrees we should want to extend our tax credits and make our health insurance more affordable. But now we need 5 more to agree this has gone too long and it needs to end. And everyone deserves to get paid. And we want to make sure everyone gets fed. And now we are sending the wrong message at this point.
I want to ask you about the election. Obviously, we're in the middle of Election Day, and voters are going to the voting booth. A lot of them have already sent in their votes. As a Democrat, looking at the New York City mayoral election, just one state away from you, and we share borders with New Jersey as well, obviously. How would you approach, if you were a New York voter, your decision between Cuomo and Mamdani?
Well, I mean, it's hypothetical. What I'm saying is it's like this is going to be New York City's choice. And that is not a lesson for Democratic Party national and the politics. That's not really relevant. It's a very left city, and they're entitled to pick their next leader. And that's where we're going to find out.
But it does seem, when you look at democratic socialism, I remember when Bernie Sanders was the only socialist politician in American politics, prominent. And we had a socialist senator up in the state of Vermont, which was kind of surprising to a lot of Americans. Now you have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you have Mamdani in New York, you have a candidate in Kentucky, a candidate in Minneapolis. It feels like this is growing in America. What is your message to Democrat voters about how they should see that movement?
Well, I represent Pennsylvania, and now for me, it's socialism isn't my party's future, certainly not. And now I think if Mamdani wins, I don't think he's going to be campaigning in all of the kinds of states that are going to determine who's going to decide who's going to be the next president, and I will too. Whether it's a thing, it is a voice from New York City, and that is not our Democratic Party's future. And for all of these kinds of states, whether like the purple states, I don't think you're going to see a lot of campaigning from a socialist or for people that have these very extreme kinds of views and opinions.
Yeah, I want to play something for you from Nancy Pelosi talking about President Trump. Watch this.
He's just a vile creature, the worst thing on the face of the earth. But anyway.
You think he's the worst thing on the face of the earth?
I do, yeah, I do.
She called him a vile creature and the worst thing on the face of the earth. What's your response to that, Senator?
Well, I would say that's part of the worst creatures on the face of the earth are Hamas, or like the leadership of Iran, or there's a lot of people on that. I would never use those kind of terms, and I wouldn't describe our president. You can really disagree with him, and I do disagree, but I don't think that's really entirely appropriate, but that's her words for that. So for me, that's just a different kinds of a Democrat for me. I don't going to call people they're fascists, they're Nazis, or compare the people in those kinds of terms. If you use those kind of terms, now you might have to realize that if you voted for them as well, and I know people that have done that in my state, and I know those people aren't fascists or they're trying to destroy our democracy either. And that's different as a Democrat here.
You have really struck an independent chord in terms of your stance on a lot of things with regard to Israel. You just mentioned Hamas. And some people look at your career and how you've carved out your independence. And I know you spoke to Jesse Waters last night and you said, I'd make a terrible Republican. Do you plan to run for Senate again in 2028? Or would you entertain the possibility of running against perhaps Gavin Newsom for the nomination of the Democratic Party for president?
2028 is a long time. It's far away. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? And Phil, where I'm at right now, it's like I've been very, very unapologetically a supporter of Israel, and I believe in a secure our border, and I believe it's wrong to shut our government down. And that may have put me at odds with parts of my base, but I would be the one Democrat to just describe what I think is where Democrats should be. And now that's very compatible with our core values, like defending the 42 million Americans on SNAP, or the unions, all the Teamsters and the air traffic controllers, all those unions. I'm standing with them by saying, open this up, pay our military, and all those things. That's easy. That's country over party. And if that makes me a bad Democrat to vote for my country over the party, so be it. But I'm proud of all these. I've just 14 times. And this is a kind of a sad record to break. This makes it the longest shutdown in government history, and that's a disgrace. And now I won't ever be a part of it or ever vote to extend it anymore.
Do you see yourself as someone who could be a leader to bring your party back to the place where it is the home of the unions of this country in a future election?
What I'm saying is I'm the kind of Democrat that I believe is entirely where we should be, because I represent Pennsylvania. Yeah. Pennsylvania keeps people honest. We remember that there is another side. We're a very, very vibrant conversation. There's the Republican side, and then there's the Democratic side, and there's independents. And now we can't just live in a bubble, and we can't just adopt extreme kinds of opinions and say extreme kinds of a thing. It keeps you honest here in Pennsylvania. And that's not a bubble like in New York City or in a deep blue kinds of a state. And so my values and what I think is entirely the right values for a Democrat, that's what I'm projecting. And that's, what I think is reflected in my votes. And I think it's pretty consistent and reasonable.
Last question, Senator, but, as you look across the border here to New York City, given what you just said about Israel and about Hamas, would it scare you to have a Zohran Mamdani mayor in New York City?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't scare me. It scares me his views. I mean, some of the very the wrong things that he said about New York City's police, or defending this idea about globalizing the Intifadada and those things. So I mean, I'm not afraid of that, but I'm not participating in it. It doesn't impact my life. But those are the kind of views you're not going to see that campaigning in the battleground kinds of states, the ones that I represent. So that's kind of where we are.
Yeah.
That is not our party's future, but that is going to be the voice that New York City picked, and that's part of the democracy.
Senator, thank you very much. Senator John Fetterman from Pennsylvania. Great to have you with us, sir. Look forward to speaking again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.